The arena was settling into a lull, that dangerous quiet where the audience is polite but bored. In the ring, the current champion stood holding a microphone, reciting the same rehearsed lines about dominance that we've heard for 6 months. The air felt stale. It was a Friday night that felt like a Tuesday morning. The producers in the truck were already looking at the clock, counting down the seconds to the commercial break, convinced that the night's peak had already passed. But the energy in a wrestling arena is a living thing. It knows when it is being lied to, and it knows when something is wrong. Suddenly, the champion's microphone cut out. Not a feedback screech, but a dead, hollow silence. Then the house lights didn't just dim. They died completely. A total blackout. For 3 seconds, 20,000 people held their breath in the dark. The darkness wasn't empty. It was heavy. It pressed down on your chest. Then, a single, distorted chord ripped through the PA system, sound so low and violent, it vibrated the floorboards beneath the ringside seats. The Titantron flickered to life, not with a flashy graphic, but with static grainy. Black and white static that twisted into a familiar, forgotten symbol. The crowd didn't cheer immediately, they gasped. It was that collective intake of breath that happens when you see a ghost. The commentary team went silent. Their monitors likely blacked out too. This wasn't on the run sheet. This wasn't in the dirt sheets. The air in the arena shifted from boredom to a palpable, electric terror. The champion in the ring dropped the dead microphone, her eyes fixed on the stage, widening in genuine confusion. The atmosphere had snapped. The queen of the past had come for the queen of the present. When the pyro finally hit, it wasn't a celebration. It was a declaration of war. Gold sparks rained down, illuminating the silhouette standing at the top of the ramp. The music shifted from that distorted drone into the iconic, driving anthem we haven't heard in 3 years. The roof of the arena didn't just blow off. It disintegrated. The sound was deafening, a physical wall of noise that you could feel in your teeth. She stepped through the smoke, not smiling, not playing to the crowd, but wearing a leather trench coat that looked like armor. She walked slowly. In wrestling, the speed of the walk tells you everything. A fast walk is desperation. Slow walk is inevitability. She was inevitable, as the camera tracked her boots hitting the steel ramp, heavy and deliberate. Commentary finally found their voices, screaming over the noise, their voices cracking with legitimate shock. You could hear the headset being thrown, the frantic scrambling for notes that didn't exist. They weren't calling a match anymore. They were reporting a disaster. She didn't high-five the fans. She didn't look at the signs. She locked eyes with the ring, her gaze burning a hole through the ropes. The champion, usually so composed, took an involuntary step back. That single step backward told the story better than any promo could. It shifted the power dynamic in seconds. The returning legend stopped at the steel steps, looked up at the lights she used to command, and exhaled. The camera zoomed in on her eyes, cold, focused, and completely devoid of mercy. This wasn't a reunion tour. This was an eviction notice. She ascended the steps, and with every movement, the history of the division seemed to rewire itself around her presence. The moment she stepped between the ropes, the referee practically vanished. The ring, usually a massive canvas, suddenly felt like a phone booth. She stood across from the champion, the distance between them charged with enough static electricity to power a city. The music cut. The crowd noise didn't. It morphed into a chanting, rhythmic roar that shook the hard camera. Neither woman held a microphone. This is the art of the business, saying everything without saying a word. The returning star slowly removed her coat, revealing physical shape that mocked the idea of retirement. She looked sharper, harder, and more dangerous than the day she left. The champion tried to stand tall, clutching her title belt against her chest like a shield, but her body language betrayed her. She was clutching it too tight. Her knuckles were white. The returning legend tilted her head, a small, subtle movement that screamed arrogance. She didn't look at the title. She looked past it, as if the gold was already hers, and the woman holding it was just a temporary storage unit. The commentary team lowered their voices to a hush, selling the gravity of the stare-down. They spoke of history, of the bad blood that had never dried, of the injuries that had forced the departure. They reminded us that the woman on the left built the house that the woman on the right was currently living in. It was a clash of eras, a collision of ideologies. The legend took one step forward, entering the champion's personal space. The champion didn't flinch, but she didn't advance. In that frozen second, The hierarchy of the entire division was rewritten. The silence in the ring was louder than the thousands screaming outside of it. The broadcast cut to the back, and the chaos was visible. Security guards were scrambling, not sure if they were supposed to intervene. Other wrestlers were huddled around monitors in the hallway, breaking character, their faces masks of genuine surprise. This is what happens when the script is burned. The reality of the return sent shockwaves through the locker room. You saw the young up-and-comers looking worried. Their spots on the card were suddenly in jeopardy. You saw the veterans nodding in respect, knowing the bar had just been raised. Social media began to melt down in real time. The trend was instant, dominating the global conversation within minutes. It wasn't just wrestling fans, it was pop culture news. "She's back" was the only headline that mattered. The uncertainty of the moment was its greatest weapon. Was she here for one match? Was she here to take over? Was she actually cleared to compete? The blurring of the lines between fiction and reality is where the magic lies, and this entrance lived entirely in that gray area. In the arena, the tension was suffocating. The fans were on their feet, phones out, recording a moment they knew they'd tell their grandkids about. This wasn't just content. It was a memory being seared into the collective consciousness. The commentary team stopped analyzing moves and started analyzing legacies. They questioned the timing. Why now? Why tonight? The champion looked at the Titantron, perhaps hoping for a commercial break to save her, to give her a moment to breathe, but the red light on the camera stayed on. There was no escape. The narrative had been hijacked, and the pilot was flying us all into uncharted territory without a parachute. As the show went off the air, the image froze on the legend's smirk. But the true story is what this return signifies. We often treat these entrances as viral moments, fleeting hits of dopamine, but this was different. This was a mirror held up to the industry. Her return wasn't about the title belt. It was about relevance. It was a harsh reminder that you can occupy the throne, but you can't inherit the kingdom. You have to conquer it. The twist wasn't in a physical attack. She didn't hit her finisher. She didn't slam the champion. Instead, she simply turned her back. She turned her back on the champion and left the ring, leaving the title holder standing there, confused and diminished. By not fighting, she proved she didn't view the champion as a threat. It was the ultimate psychological dismantle. She left the ring with more power than if she had won a match. It leaves us with a haunting question. We thought she came back to win the championship, but as she walked up the ramp laughing to herself, it became clear. She didn't come back for the gold. She came back to destroy the champion's confidence, to dismantle the legacy of the current era piece by piece. The belt is just a prop. The real prize is the champion's psyche. And as the copyright logo appeared on the screen, we realized the physical war hadn't even started, but the mental war was already over. She had won without throwing a single punch. And that is why she is the most dangerous woman in the world.